Today, I am going to be dropping a lot of VA claim nuggets. It's going to be like me driving down the road in a white box truck, dropping crates and crates and more crates of VA claim nuggets. So today's video, PTSD, stressors, and markers. A lot of veterans are filing claims for PTSD and they fail to understand the basics as it pertains to stressors and markers. So in today's video, I am going to give you a breakdown of both. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Before I get into today's video, I have a special announcement. I am going back to offering a free monthly webinar. Now, this monthly webinar will only be for me to explain exactly what I do and what I don't do, also how you can work with me. A lot of veterans have been requesting consultations. I no longer do consultations. So this webinar will replace my consultations. Again, this webinar is only for me to explain to you what I do, what I don't do, and how you can work with me. Okay, so PTSD stressors, PTSD markers for military sexual trauma. As a former VA rater, I've rated hundreds of these claims and I've seen some get denied, but today I'm going to share some information with you to help you be successful with your PTSD claim. Let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Here in slide number one, taking you to the M21-1, and we are starting with a definition of PTSD. Now, I am not a mental health or medical examiner. I don't provide diagnoses for veterans or anything like that. I'm only sharing what the VA has on their website, okay? So this M21-1 definition for PTSD. PTSD is a psychiatric disorder that may occur in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event, also known as a stressor. Two key things here. Traumatic event and is also known as a stressor. So as I go through the remainder of these slides, you're going to hear me talk about traumatic events and stressors. Also, I'm going to be giving you some examples. Well, the VA is going to give you some examples. Let's keep going. Slide number two. Here in slide number two, the M21-1 definition for a stressor. A PTSD stressor is a traumatic event in which an individual has personally or indirectly exposed to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence. So let's just take death. Let's just say you were doing some training and one of your federal soldiers passed away from a training accident, okay? You're gonna need that soldier's name, the unit of assignment, or in the Army, when you go to in-service schools, there may be individuals from different units, okay? So if that happens, you need to know that person's name because that's a stressor, and the VA will need that name so they can confirm that that soldier actually died during that training event. Claim processors need to identify which stressor type a veteran's claim falls under, so that the proper development will occur. Claims can be based on a stressor related to an in-service PTSD diagnosis, personal assault, combat or former prisoner of war, service, fear, or a stressful event unrelated to hostile military or terrorist activity. So if you take those last three bullet comments and you served in Southwest Asia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi, you may word that claim something like this. I am claiming PTSD due to fear of hostile military terrorist activity. please see my attached DD-214, which shows multiple deployments to include Afghanistan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. If it was just one deployment, put that location, okay? Now, under the notes section, the distinction between the different types of PTSD claims is based on how the stressor is verified or conceded. So I just gave you an example of as to one of them, how it can be verified. You should have a copy of your DD-214. If you're claiming PTSD due to fear, look at it. Were you in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, all right, Afghanistan? That's how you confirmed it for the VA. Let's keep going. Slide number 3. Here in slide number 3, examples of sources for stressor verification. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, not only this video, but for some other videos that I've done, I always inform veterans, hey, I may not have copied the entire M21-1. Some of these are really long. When I was doing the research for this, it was a lot of references, okay? I just pulled some out that I thought would definitely be beneficial for you, okay? Stressor verification information can often be found in the veteran's service records or other official documents. The list below, although not all-inclusive, provides examples of the types of official service records that may be useful in stressor verification, okay? So they're telling you, hey, this is what you can use, meaning the VSR or RVSR that's doing the development can, these are examples of stressors or examples of documents that can be used to confirm the stressor, okay? So I highlighted 3 of them. Service treatment records, STRs. That's your medical records from when the time you went to medical sick call, all right? Military performance records, NCOERs, OERs. I know that's what we call them in the Army. And then deck logs. This is for Navy veterans, okay? So let's say I used to rate claims where they would say, hey, I was on this ship. They would give the ship name, and they say, hey, we came up on this wreck. Everybody had died. There was bodies floating in the water. We stopped, rendered aid, and so forth. The VSR, if they know their ship name, they can go out and obtain these deck logs and verify this incident. Therefore, what are they doing? They are verifying the stressor, okay? But you need to be very detailed on that 0781 in this case, opposed to the previous example that I gave if you're claiming it due to service in Southwest Asia, because that's easily concedable, especially if the location in Southwest Asia is listed on your DD-214. Let's keep going. Slide number 4. General information on personal trauma. Now we're getting into military sexual trauma. Personal trauma, for the purpose of Department of Veterans Affairs disability compensation claims, refers broadly to stressor events, also referred to as personal traumatic events, involving harm perpetrated by a person who is not considered part of an enemy force. Yes, people, you have other soldiers sexually assaulting other U.S. soldiers. A U.S. soldier sexually assaulted another U.S. soldier. It happens. I know it's crazy, but it happens. And guess what? I bet you some of these sexual offenders are still on active duty and their command did absolutely nothing. Swept it under the rug, okay? That's horrible. I digress. I'm sorry. Let's keep going. Examples: assault, battery, robbery, mugging, stalking, harassment. So it's just not like sexual assault or rape or anything like that. Here's some other examples of the personal trauma as well. Military sexual trauma is a subset of personal trauma and refers to sexual harassment, sexual assault, or rape that occurs during military service. Okay, let's keep going. Slide number 5. Another M21-1. Alternative sources of evidence of in-service personal trauma, okay? Examples of such alternative sources of evidence include, but not limited to. So there could be other examples out there, okay? The VA is only giving you a few of them, okay? Family members or roommates. A lot of times, sexual assault or the personal trauma didn't get reported to their command, okay? But if you told anybody and you still know that person, reach out to them. More than likely, they're on Facebook, okay? Civilian police reports. I've seen cases where the person didn't tell the command. It happened off it happened off post. So the civilian police were called. You can get a copy of that police report, okay? Medical reports from civilian physicians or caregivers. I've seen those cases too. And I'm like, why didn't they just go to their own medical department on post? Maybe they were too embarrassed, okay? And they went to a local urgent care to receive some type of treatment. That could be used as well. Fellow service members. Again, if you reported this to a buddy or someone that you serve with, reach out to them and get them to write a statement, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 6. Here, evidence that may constitute a marker of personal trauma. Now, keep in mind, a marker, in this example, you didn't report it. You didn't report it to your command. Maybe you didn't tell anybody. No family member, no roommate, another fellow service member, nobody. Here are some examples. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to touch on some that are highlighted in red here, okay? Sexually transmitted disease. Let's just say you didn't tell anybody, but you went to medical and got tested for STD. All right? So you put on that 0781 that you were sexually assaulted, let's say November 15th. And you have a copy of your service treatment records, and it shows you went to medical on November 20th to get tested for STD. I am claiming military sexual trauma. I did not report it. It happened on November 15th, whatever year, this is just an example. But please concede PTSD due to military sexual trauma, as my marker is I reported to medical on November 20th for STD test. Please concede this personal trauma based on this marker. Next thing should happen, they should be giving you a CMP exam, okay? Let's keep going. Changes in performance and performance evaluations. I had a client one time, she had claimed PTSD due to military sexual trauma a couple of times and got denied. And during our conversation, she brought up Article 15. And I was like, was that after the trauma? She was like, yeah, because I was devastated. My performance went down. I just couldn't perform. And I was like, you ever heard of markers? And she was like, no. Covered the markers. She eventually did a supplemental claim and was awarded service connection, okay? So that's just an example of markers due to military sexual trauma. Let's keep going. Slide number 7, okay? Now, this is a continuation from the previous slide, the M21. This was a long M21 reference, okay? When I was doing research for this video, there was a lot of information out there on PTSD, stressors, development, military sexual trauma, markers, tons of information, okay? So I just tried to grab some information I thought that was really pertinent, okay? So you don't have to go out there and do the heavy lifting. So here's some additional examples of markers: alcohol or drug abuse, increased use of over-the-counter medications, okay? Things of that nature, all right? So over-the-counter medications, you got receipts. If you're still on active duty, you got, keep those receipts. If you're no longer on active duty, but we were taking a lot of over-the-counter medications. You may not still have those receipts. I've seen that used as well. Okay. And finally, there's an example. I'm not going to go and read this entire example, but I think it's important for you to read it because the VA is giving you some answers to the test. There are some other M21-1 manual references that I covered, right, where the VA had some examples, some actual examples. So make sure you pause it, read it in detail, and as always, go back and look at the other slides. Now, that may seem like a lot of information, but keep in mind, if you're claiming PTSD or PTSD due to military sexual trauma, that stressor has to be confirmed. I just gave you some examples, okay? So if you have watched this video to this point, go ahead and put a fire emoji for me in the comment section. With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veteran. Thank you.